What's up, everyone? It's Michael here. I wanted to get back into the habit of doing these videos because I think they're important. It forces me to actually share some of my thoughts, my thinking with all of you. And I just think overall it's a good practice to communicate about things that are going on in the world, things that may be affecting us with our money, and just to share with you guys ideas and things that come to me as a financial advisor that I have during the week as I'm working with people, because while I may or may not be, seeing every one of our clients like all of the time, there are lots of things that come up in meetings, questions that get answered, topics of conversation that happen that I think are relevant for everybody. And so I want to do more of these videos for that purpose because I just really think that it could be valuable. So hopefully you will indulge me in that. One of the things that I wanted to share this week comes down to actually two different ideas, but I think that they're somewhat intertwined. First, there is this idea of enough. And it's one of the most important questions that we can ask ourselves when it comes to our savings and investment goals is the question, how much is enough? How much is enough? Because we live in a culture in the United States where there's this pressure or this constant push for more. We need to make more money. We need to save more money. We need to invest so we can grow more money and have more money in our investment accounts. Now, I totally believe that we should be good stewards and we should be saving and trying to prepare for the future, because who knows what the future may hold. But this idea of enough is something that I have to be transparent that I still wrestle with. I'm still trying to think about, how much is enough? How much should I be investing and how much should I be using for family experiences today? Am I storing up for myself treasures just for the sake of storing up treasures? And it's something that I believe that is part of our stewardship journey, and it's going to be different for each and every person. But the reason one of the main reasons that I think that this idea of enough is important is because of the burden that we may be carrying without even realizing it. If we don't have any type of financial finish lines, how will we ever know, like, that we've achieved what we set out to achieve if there's no target to actually hit? How will we know or ever have peace or contentment? Now, maybe that's a little heavy, but I see this play out a lot of times when we're starting to talk through financial planning, planning conversations about the future and investing, because we'll meet with people who've been phenomenal at saving their money, been phenomenal at saving and accumulating wealth. And then they reach their retirement years and they don't spend any money. They don't enjoy the things that they've worked so hard to save up for the future. Now, of course, we have to be mindful that sometimes we can't be just, you know, wild with our spending and frivolous with our spending. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about giving yourself permission to enjoy the fruits of your labor, to enjoy your resources that you've saved up so that you can create experiences for your family, for the people that you love, the people you care about. One of my great friends and mentors in this business, Carl Richards, he just did a post the other day where he said that the jury is in, that we derive our happiness from experiences way more than we do from accumulating stuff. And so consciously, I've shared this before, consciously, that's one of the things that I'm trying to do in my own family with my own children, is to have experiences over things. Because I know that, hopefully we get to live a long time and have years and years of experiences together. But that's the stuff that we get to take with us. The things things that are great and wonderful today, the shiny new objects, eventually they break or they collect dust or they are forgotten. But those experiences are things that we get to carry with us. So I want to throw that to you just for you to ponder for yourself is how much is enough? And what are your financial finish lines? What level of income, what level of wealth accumulation is enough? And it doesn't mean that once you decide on a number that that number can't change. The idea is that you're actually thinking about this concept of how much is enough. And I'll tie that into investing this way. A lot of times we see folks who have done very well with their investments. They've had a handful of stocks that have done really well, or they've got some company stock that has gone to the moon, or they've had some type of investment success. And instead of looking at it objectively, thinking, you know what, this investment has done what it was supposed to do. It's grown, it's fully matured. Now it's time to harvest. They can't bring themselves to harvest. They can't bring themselves to say, you know what? This thing has far exceeded anything I ever thought possible. Maybe we should go a little bit more. Let's hold on a little tighter and see if this horse can still run. And I think that one of the reasons that people are tended to do that is one is the endowment effect, right? Once we own something, it just becomes more and more valuable to us. But two, it's this idea that we don't have a clear cut finish line. We don't have a way, or we haven't given ourselves permission to harvest the wealth that we've created or the wealth that we have accumulated. And so we just continue to allow it to move on and on and on. And as you've learned, if you've been an investor for any amount of time, like the market does not owe us returns just because we participate, right? Of course, long-term investing, we like to think we're stacking those probabilities in our favor to see return on our investments. But in the short run is always risky. The short run doesn't give us a guaranteed continual, growth upward just because the last 1 or 2 or 3 years have been really solid. And so that's one of the things I want you to think about or contemplate is, are you thinking about your investments through this lens of enough? Do we have enough? Are we going to be okay? And if you don't know if you're going to be okay, that's a great way to have a conversation with your financial planner or your financial advisor about, hey, we really have got this money that we've accumulated that we've saved, and we're just not sure if we're going to be okay. Can you help us with that? Because that's part of what the planning process is to try to determine like, hey, what are you trying to accomplish? What are those finish lines? Do we have enough to achieve those goals? Can we achieve those goals in a conservative way? Do we need to take risk at this point? These are all things that I think are very personal. So that's where I come to the next point is trade-offs, right? Trade-offs are one of those things that happens for each and every one of us, each and every day. The personal choices that we make, the personal microeconomics that run our household. So just think about houses in general, right? If we all were not, if we were all the same and we never had to make any adjustments, right? We never had to make trade-offs. Our houses would all look the same and our houses would all have everything and hey, we would all have a house. But that's not how the world works. So when it comes to trade-offs, the question that I would ask you is what are you actually optimizing for? I know a lot of people and through conversations what we'll have in the office, a lot of people they will get super granular on certain details. Like they'll know where every single penny goes, but yet they don't have this idea of what their financial finish lines are or what income they really want to see from their investments or for their retirement years. They're hyper focused on like right now and optimizing for the tiniest of details, but yet they've given very little thought to how they want the next 30 years to play out, or where they want to be 10 years from today. What level of investment risk do they want to take? It's very interesting to see where people fall when it comes to trade-offs. And so when I ask you about trade-offs, here are the couple of questions that I would say. One is, whatever you're doing right now, from an investment standpoint, from a savings standpoint, from whatever you're striving for right now, and whatever you're believing in that's going to happen, what if you're wrong? That's a question we have to ask ourselves as planners. Hey, we want to put a plan together. We have our ideas. We have our recommendations. We're doing our best to align capital with what the client values, what the client says they want to see happen in their financial lives. But what if we're wrong? What if the assumptions that we're making are wrong? What if what we believe about portfolio returns in the future, what if we're wrong? Is the plan going to implode? Or are we adaptive enough are we flexible enough that it won't be catastrophic if we're wrong? We see that a lot with investors, especially when you're in the throes of a bull market right now, where people are feeling great and our portfolio balances are up, and the market seems to have the momentum and going in the right direction, and it feels like things are just moving in a way that builds confidence within us. What if we're wrong? What if the next 10 years aren't as rosy as the last 10 years have been? It's not that I'm saying that's going to happen, but I'm saying it's a reasonable question to ask ourselves, right? We can't just play offense. We got to think about offense and defense. Like what if we see recession? What if that happens? Will that destroy your financial plan for the path forward? What if we grow? What if the market just absolutely explodes from here and we see a 10-year run that defies all the analysts? Would you participate in that? Have you been so conservative and so afraid of market returns that you miss out on a golden decade? Again, I'm not saying that that's going to happen. I'm saying that these are questions that we have to ask ourselves, because everybody is, whether we realize it or not, whether it's stated or not, whether we have it written down or not, everybody is arranging their financial pieces on their chessboard based on some type of belief system, something that's driving that belief system. And we have to be true to ourselves, of course, but we also have to be honest enough to ask those hard questions. Hey, this is what I think is going to happen, but what if I'm wrong? What if the opposite happens? So these are where trade-offs come into play, and they're going to be unique for everybody. There is no optimal solution that fits in every single circumstance. It doesn't exist. So get in tune with yourself and understand, hey, what is it we're really trying to accomplish here? Do we have a financial finish line? How much is enough? What trade-offs are we willing to make? Are we wrong? What if we are wrong? What if we're right? So those are the things I want to leave you with today. Those are the thoughts I'm having based on some of the conversations we've had this week. I hope this makes sense. I hope you enjoy this. And if there's anything you'd like me to cover in another video, feel free to shoot me an email. If not, talk to you next time.